Who's going to stop him, though? Because on July 12th, Putin sent out a manifesto saying that he was going to do this. NATO didn't do anything. Joe Biden didn't do anything. The UN didn't do anything. So who's going to stop him? If we've known about this for so long, let him get away with it. What are we going to do now?
Well, it's a great question, but I don't want to relitigate yesterday, and I wish we could, but we can't. But that's what I was talking about, being a wartime leader. We're going to find out the temper of and what kind of individual Joe Biden is as a wartime leader, because that's what this is. And what happened yesterday, things should have happened, but they didn't. But I'm going to judge everything from today going forward, because now this is the largest fight in Europe since World War II. Remember, Ukraine's the second largest country in Europe, and we didn't do anything when he went into Georgia in 2008 under President Obama. Then what happened in 2014 in Crimea? But you actually have to go back further than that with Russia. And when you look at what Russia did with Chechnya when they went into Grozny and just leveled that city, I mean, this has been a very aggressive nation, and we need to push back on that. It's been a pattern. And we cannot show a pattern of indecisiveness right now. We have to be very decisive, and we have to keep pushing back on him hard. And we better bring the rest of the world with us. And that's where we go to the UN, we go to NATO, we go to everybody. This is a rogue regime out of control that's got nuclear weapons. And it's got as many nuclear weapons as we do. And that's the reason why I get very concerned about escalation, because of somebody making a big mistake. And he needs to know, you make a mistake and Russia is gone. It is an extinction level event. And he needs to know it, and the Russian people need to know it. And the President of the United States needs to tell him that, and he needs to tell the American people that. I haven't seen a crisis like this, very candidly, since the Cuban Missile Crisis. We have got two nuclear powers facing off right now. And just sit back and think about that, and think about what he has said. He's had very aggressive language today, and we need to respond to that.
General, we're talking a lot at the strategic level, and what the United States should do, and what Joe Biden should say, and it'll be interesting in light of sanctions being almost the only answer, what is talked about at the White House today. But I'd like to get a little operational and tactical, if we can,
sure.
As you've been a battlefield commander, arrayed forces. If you talked about going into the Oval Office and what you would counsel the Commander-in-Chief of the United States, what would you counsel Zelensky today if you were the commander of Ukrainian forces? What do they do as the David against the Goliath? It seems they were hoping to the end that this conflict wouldn't happen. Now it's even wider probably than they expected. Tactically and operationally so outgunned, what can and should the Ukrainians do?
Well, this is their defining moment as a nation. I mean, and how they fight. And they're going to have to resist to every degree they have. And if you're an operational commander, you understand you're outgunned, and but you have to fight. When history records this, they need to record this, that Ukrainian fought to the last garrison, the last man, and they need to do that. And they need to fight back because they're going to be overwhelmed. What I would also recommend is we get Zelensky out of there. I'm hoping we have assets to pull him out, because Zelensky, and I had an opportunity to meet him with Vice President Pence in Warsaw in 2019. He's a good man, and he's a fighter. And he's one of those that he's not going to cut and run. And we need to get him out of there, because if he has to fight, he needs to fight from exile. He shouldn't be in a cell next to Navalny. That's where Putin either wants him to be or is going to kill him. Yeah. And we need to bring him out and continue to fight. And we need to have some type of an ability to fight in a resistance way. And what I would tell Putin, I said, when the Soviet Union was in Afghanistan, they left because of the Mujahideen. And if you thought Afghanistan was bad, you watch what we're going to do in Ukraine, because you have now declared war just not on Ukraine, you've declared war on Europe, and you've declared war on the world, on your attitude, and we're going to change that attitude.
Real quick, General, does that mean that you would counsel that they almost don't try to fight Russia in a conventional way, but instead dissolve and turn almost more immediately to an insurgency? Or would you counsel an outgunned army like the Ukrainians to attempt to fight them conventionally first? What should they do?
Yeah. Pete, I'd fight them conventionally first. I'd say you've got to go down swinging. I mean, you can't just cut and run, because the world's going to see that. And this is your defining moment as a nation and as a military. You fight it, but at the same time, in the back of your mind saying, yeah, but we're going to, it's sort of like what Churchill said, we're going to fight you on the beaches, we're going to fight you in the fields, and we're going to fight you in the hills. If we have to, go to the hills. But we are going to fight you all the way, sort of like what we did in the Philippines in World War II. You may have taken Bataan and you may have taken Corregidor, but we're going to fight from inside the Philippines. And they need to understand that. But you can't just leave the battlefield, because that is a defining moment for you and the citizens of Ukraine. You have to fight. It's going to be bloody, but you have to do that, because what Putin is doing, it's very clear to me, well, it shouldn't say clear because of the fog of war, but he's going after military installations. But you have to suck it up and say you're going to fight yourself in a tactical and operational way, in a conventional way. Right. But Pete, you made the comment, there's a fog of war going on. We have to see. This has to develop. This has only been going on for a few hours. And in the course of this day, we're going to see where he's going and what he's doing, what he's trying to do. And then you kind of make the defining call of what you need to do. What I would probably do if I was Ukraine, if it was me as a commander, I would pull my forces probably to the west of the Dnieper River. And then I'd say that's where you're going to make your fight. You're going to fight along the Dnieper River and west, and push him hard there. And then you kind of say, we're going to give up the eastern 1/3 only because of overwhelming force. Extend his supply lines, extend his logistics lines, make sure he has to go a further way, and get into an area that he's not comfortable in. In other words, you're in now a Ukrainian area, speaking area, instead of a Russian speaking area. Maybe they're not Russian supporting, but they're Russian speaking. So get him out of his comfort zone. Right. Get the Russian army out of their comfort zone. And then put them in an area that's actually getting closer to NATO, so the level of concern also rises on his part. I mean, these are all tactical and operational decisions you have to make. So right now you have to operate on a tactical level, which is the current fight, an operational level, that's like armies, and then the strategic level, and that's President Biden.
Very sobering words. And when you were just talking about the fog of war, we were looking at some of the images of the destruction, and there was literally fog from the smoke and the fires that have ensued. General, thank you very much
for
your point of view.